Hello, friends. In just about 2 weeks, Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris are set to hit the debate stage, where they are going to supposedly, and I say supposedly because I'm really referring to Donald Trump, talk about policy issues and not about how good-looking Donald Trump is. Except now, Donald Trump seems to be sowing the seeds to exit the debate, right? And he is blaming it on the fact that there were rules that were agreed upon, such as muting the mics. And his team is trying to get ABC to mute the mics when the candidates are not speaking because they can't trust Donald Trump not to say some hot shit on a hot mic that will make him look like, a misogynist, a racist, or the complete and total asshole that he is. And right now, Donald Trump, when asked most recently by a reporter how he was preparing for said debate, he said he's not preparing at all, which we know, in fact, is an absolute lie because Donald Trump and his team have asked Tulsi Gabbard to step in and help him with the debate. Now, folks, have you seen any of the clips of Tulsi on stage back when she was pretending to be a Democrat and running for office, and how both Pete Buttigieg and then candidate Kamala Harris took her down to size in just like one exchange? That is not who I would want prepping me for debate, but hey, you know what? We can't lick a gift horse in the mouth. The reality is that Donald Trump right now, with all of his bluster, is projecting. Because guess what? He is going to be the oldest candidate in the race. He is the oldest candidate in the race. And when you do a side-by-side between him and his overweight, melting face, orange makeup running everywhere, and the wrinkles and the ugh, in comparison to Vice President Kamala Harris, well, the picture speaks volumes, right? And video does even better. So it makes sense now that Donald Trump is doing what he always does, which is running from responsibility. I mean, he did it during the draft, so why wouldn't he do it again? And he's trying to pin this on the vice president's team, who said, we don't need to have a muted microphone because our candidate can actually be presidential for more than 90 minutes. So we're not concerned about her ability to be able to keep her cool. So I think that this back and forth is just utter and complete bullshit. But what do we expect from Donald Trump? Very little, in fact. But I want to draw your attention to most recently his vice president, presidential pick, J.D. Vance, who found his way to meet the press for a sit-down interview with Kristen Welker. And I swear to God, mainstream corporate media gives these motherfuckers time and time and time again to dig their way out of the hot shit that they have said, namely J.D. Vance referring to childless women as cat ladies and mean, and, saying that they should pay more in taxes or not be able to vote. All of the things that he has been caught on audio saying. So Kristen Welker offers him the out to say that he apologizes or that he didn't mean exactly what it is that he said, but he wants to focus on the family. And what does J.D. Vance do? He takes that get out of jail free card and throws it in the trash and says, here, give me a shovel because I want to dig my way all the way to China. That is what J.D. Vance is doing because he doubled down, because that's what Donald Trump does. Right? It doesn't matter if you've been caught in a lie. It doesn't matter if you've said things that are offensive. You just double down because that's their idea of what masculinity looks like. Doesn't matter that it's toxic. It doesn't matter that you're turning women off every single day. I'm sure in more than one way. But in every single way, turning off women voters by the rhetoric that you are stating, which is that you believe that the only value that women have is to give birth. And that postmenopausal female, the only value that they offer to society is to be caregivers for those childbearing women. outside of that, this might as well be Afghanistan and the Taliban, right? Like, there's actually no real daylight between the white Christian nationalism idea of what women and womanhood is, and basically what we have seen and berated foreign countries for doing to women there, right? Except here in the United States, they want to say that he wants women to have more choices. Really? Or that there's been a war on the family. So if your belief, JD Vance and the Trump regime and Project 2025, is that there has been a war on the family, then your idea is then to turn around and force women into becoming mothers before they actually want to or are ready to. That's going to fix the family problem, because it sure isn't, providing maternal health care. It sure isn't about providing women with parental leave. It sure isn't about providing a child care tax credit. It sure isn't about feeding hungry children. No, you want to do none of those things whatsoever. So tell me again how you plan on actually combating this supposed war on the family. You don't. The way that they combat it is by forcing women into becoming parents when in fact they don't want to. And so Kristen Welker gave JD Vance, as every fucking mainstream legacy media outlet has done since the unearthing of this audio, and JD Vance just continues to do what he does best, which is dig himself into a deeper ditch. So, which brings me to the fact that right now, folks, we have 70 days until the election. 70. Until we decide whether or not America turns into a dictatorship taken over by white Christian nationalism and the Trump regime that, by the way, will never leave office if in fact he gets into the Oval Office again, or between folks like Vice President Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, who believe in democracy and who believe in America. You see, one of the things that continue to stand out to me about the true differences between the Democratic ticket and the Republican ticket is that one of them believes in the promise of America and the other one does not. I mean, did you hear Lindsey Graham talk about the fact that Americans are just not hopeful, right? Or joyful, that's his response to this resurgence of joy, to the return of hopefulness, is that it's not real, that what we are feeling and seeing and experiencing over the last 4 weeks is just somehow a figment of our imagination, when in fact, what Americans are showing is that they are tired. They are tired of Donald Trump. They're tired of the rhetoric. They're tired of the toddler tantrums. They're tired of the narcissism. They're tired of the racism and the misogyny and the Islamophobia and the homophobia and the transphobia. Et al. The list runneth over. We're exhausted. We want to live in a land of possibility. We want to live in a land where joy is actually on the menu, contrary to what the New York Times continues to write in their opinion pages. You know what? Joy is a strategy, and I'll continue to say it ad nauseum. Because what makes us fundamentally American is our belief that the impossible can be made possible. That indeed, right, a small group of people can in fact change the course of history. And when I mean a small group of people, folks, when we look at these battleground states and we look at the numbers from 2020, Biden won in battleground states by a handful of votes. Thousands of votes. You know, when Donald Trump said, just find me 11,570 votes, we're not winning in landslides anymore. And so people need to be inspired. They need to feel possible. And while fear and cruelty may be good for clickbait, it is actually not good for our democracy. And folks are starting to get woke to that and realize that and say, there is a better way. And so folks, I implore you, with 70 days to go until this election, gather your steam, gather your energy, gather your community, your friends, your family, your colleagues. Make sure that you are registered to vote, because 19 million people have been purged from the voter rolls. Make sure that you have a voting plan, right? Make sure that if you have the ability to donate, you are doing so. And if you have the ability to show up and volunteer and knock on doors, make phone calls, text message, let's run through the tape. dear friends, because as Tim Walz said, we can sleep when we're dead.